Have you ever wondered what truly goes on behind the scenes when our most beloved Hollywood stars suddenly vanish from the spotlight? What hidden forces drive an actor at the height of their fame to walk away, leaving adoring fans and a lucrative career behind? Today we delve deep into the intriguing world of Hollywood's golden lights and shadowed corners, exploring stories that are often whispered about but seldom fully understood. We'll be looking at a group of actors initially known for their time in front of the camera, who, at the peak of their careers, made the surprising and sometimes puzzling decision to step away from the limelight. From sudden retirements to slow and quiet exits that left the industry and audiences baffled, we'll piece together the reasons behind their departures, examine their enduring legacies, and reflect on how these choices have shaped both their own lives and the cinematic landscape they once defined. Hollywood, for all its glamour, can be relentless. Some stars leave to reclaim their personal lives. Others vanish to seek intellectual fulfillment, spiritual growth, or family stability. Some are disillusioned by industry politics, while others become enthralled by a new creative endeavor, music, literature, directing, or entrepreneurial pursuits. The reasons for stepping away can be as diverse and intricate as the actors themselves. And what we'll explore now isn't just the dry facts of their retirements, but a multi-layered tapestry of motivations, cultural shifts, audience reactions, and the behind-the-scenes pressures that don't always make the tabloids. As we get started, remember to stick around until the end. You'll discover not only the story of each individual, but also how their bold choices ripple through Hollywood's ecosystem. By the finale, you might find yourself asking new questions. Which actor's story challenges your assumptions about what it means to be a star? Are there sacrifices behind that red carpet smile that we never fully understand as viewers? By the time we wrap up this deep dive, you might just see the entire entertainment industry and its revered icons in a different light. If you find yourself intrigued, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can join us for more explorations that reveal the hidden side of fame. Let's begin with one of the more recent and talked about cases, Jack Gleeson. Born on May 20th, 1992, in Cork, Ireland, he shot to global prominence for his compelling portrayal of King Joffrey Baratheon in the critically acclaimed television series Game of Thrones. This was a show that didn't just capture a niche audience, it became a cultural phenomenon, drawing record-breaking viewership and inciting passionate fan discussions around the world. Gleason's character, a young king of unspeakable cruelty, both captivated and enraged audiences. The intensity of his performance made Joffrey one of the most hated figures in modern television, and this paradoxically turned Gleason himself into a household name. He was still in his late teens, navigating sudden fame on a show celebrated for its complex narratives, stunning production values, and unflinching willingness to explore power, violence, and moral ambiguity. So why walk away? After Game of Thrones, Gleason announced he would retire from acting. He cited a lack of passion for the profession. This decision stunned many. Here was a young actor with the world at his feet, fresh off a high-profile role that could have opened countless doors in Hollywood. But he chose instead to step back and focus on academia, studying philosophy and theology. Today, in his early 30s, he has largely remained out of the public eye, living a quieter, more introspective life. It's an unusual story, yet not without precedent. Throughout Hollywood's history, some stars have left the stage and screen to find deeper meaning, challenging the assumption that fame and fortune are enough to sustain personal fulfillment. Gleason's choice reminds us that passion is not guaranteed by professional success. There's something very old world and almost literary about his departure. Think of artists from centuries past who, after achieving acclaim, retreated to monasteries, quiet towns, or scholarly pursuits seeking a spiritual equilibrium. In Gleason's case, it illustrates a timeless truth. Individual purpose can transcend public adoration. Next, consider Michelle Trachtenberg, born on October 11, 1985, in New York City. She rose to fame as Dawn Summers in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, joining the cast in 2000 at just 15 years old. It's hard to overstate the cultural importance of Buffy. It was a show that redefined genre television, blending supernatural elements with teenage angst, witty dialogue, and a nuanced exploration of identity, power, and morality. Trachtenberg, stepping into a universe beloved by a dedicated fan base, brought youthful energy and complexity to Dawn. This role marked her as a rising star. Yet as she advanced in her career, Trachtenberg gradually stepped back from acting around 2011. She took a hiatus exploring other interests and diversifying her career beyond acting. By 2023, at 38 years old, she transitioned into producing and directing, showing that she wasn't simply leaving the entertainment industry but evolving within it. Trachtenberg's story resonates within a broader pattern. Child and teen actors often face intense scrutiny, early burnout, and a desire to reinvent themselves as adults. Hollywood is full of cautionary tales where young stars struggle to find their footing after that initial burst of fame. By shifting into producing and directing, Trachtenberg gained more creative control and agency. This evolution could be seen as a response to the power imbalance often faced by young performers. Instead of being merely the face in front of the camera, she positioned herself behind it, shaping narratives, influencing production decisions, and forging a new identity in an industry notorious for typecasting young stars. Her story spotlights an important and ongoing conversation about how the entertainment world nurtures or neglects the personal growth of its youngest talents. Consider Eva Mendez, born on March 5, 1974, in Miami, Florida. She dazzled audiences in films like Training Day, 2001, Too Fast, Too Furious, 2003, and Hitch, 2005. In the early 2000s, Mendez achieved widespread recognition and fame, becoming one of the era's go-to leading ladies. She was admired for her beauty, her talent, and her ability to navigate between drama and comedy effortlessly. But then, at what seemed like the height of her stardom, she took a step back. Mendez prioritized her family, focusing on raising her daughters with partner Ryan Gosling. Now, at 49, Mendez has diversified her career, venturing into business and embracing a more private life. Her decision underscores a reality many female stars face: the intense pressure of maintaining a career while fulfilling personal desires like motherhood and a stable home life. Hollywood historically hasn't made it easy for women to step out and return at will. Mendez's choice reflects a subtle shift in cultural norms. Instead of adhering to the relentless demands of celebrity culture, one that often punishes actresses for aging, stepping away, or losing momentum, Mendez forged her own path. She's shown that it is possible to step away, focus on personal priorities, and still remain influential, whether through entrepreneurial ventures or selective creative projects. Her narrative aligns with broader conversations about work-life balance, the representation of women in film, and how personal decisions can challenge the entertainment industry's long-standing expectations. Then there's Daniel Day-Lewis, born on April 29, 1957, in London, England, a name synonymous with acting brilliance. He garnered fame through staggering performances in films like My Left Foot, 1989, There Will Be Blood, 2007, and Lincoln, 2012. With each role, He immersed himself so deeply that audiences came to view him as a standard-bearer of method acting. Unlike many who simply drifted away, Day-Lewis announced his retirement quite explicitly in 2017, after Phantom Thread. Here was an actor at the pinnacle of critical acclaim, revered as one of the greatest of his generation. His departure, he explained, was due to a desire to explore other pursuits, having given so much of himself to the craft. Throughout film history, actors have occasionally left when they felt their artistic journey had reached a certain conclusion. Day-Lewis's decision speaks to creative exhaustion, perhaps, or the pursuit of new forms of expression. He reminds us that acting can be emotionally taxing, constantly inhabiting other lives, undergoing psychological transformations, and bearing intense critical expectations can lead even the most accomplished performers to seek peace elsewhere. This pattern echoes the experiences of older Hollywood legends, who after decades of performance craved stillness and an inner quiet away from the camera's unrelenting gaze. Day-Lewis's retirement poses an enduring question. Does the pinnacle of success satisfy the soul, or does it sometimes prompt us to seek entirely new mountains? Now let's talk about Chris Tucker, born on August 31st, 1971 in Atlanta, Georgia. Beloved for his role as Detective James Carter in the Rush Hour series, alongside Jackie Chan, Tucker became a prominent figure in late 1990s Hollywood. At that time, he was in his late 20s, a comedic force who found mainstream success in a genre that thrived on action-comedy pairings. Despite his fame, Tucker took a hiatus in the mid-2000s, citing personal and spiritual development. During that lull, speculation ran wild. Was he unhappy with the projects offered? Was the industry typecasting him? While he has returned periodically, he's never recaptured that same frequency of appearances. Now, in his early 50s, Tucker remains a memorable figure, but the gap in his career represents a significant reflective detour. Spiritual and personal development is a lesser discussed motive for stepping back from Hollywood. The industry often seems monolithic, driven purely by profit and ambition. Tucker's story demonstrates that even at the height of success, some stars ask deeper questions. What is the meaning behind all of this? Am I contributing something positive or merely chasing paychecks and fame? His choice highlights a struggle that many in high-pressure careers encounter, finding alignment between personal values and professional achievements. He contributed a narrative of introspection to an industry that seldom celebrates slowing down and looking inward. Then there's Bruce Willis, born on March 19th, 1955, in Idar Oberstein, Germany, though we know him as an American action legend. Willis's performances in the Die Hard series launched him to stardom, making him one of the most recognized faces of the late 1980s and early 1990s. He was in his mid-30s at his breakthrough, embodying a brand of masculinity and toughness that audiences craved at the time. Over the years, Willis expressed a desire to tackle more varied roles. While not officially retired, he stepped back in the sense that he became more selective and less frequently front and center in Hollywood blockbusters. His case shows how aging action stars often face a crossroads, maintain a high-octane image, or pivot to more nuanced, reflective roles. Sadly, in recent years, as publicly known, Willis has faced health challenges that affected his communication and cognitive functions, leading to an official step back from acting. Although our original text did not detail this recent development, we must not omit the essence we had. He became less active, and that paved the way to a quieter role in the industry. His story is also one of endurance and adaptation. By choosing fewer projects, he may have created room for personal well-being, a key consideration often neglected in an industry fixated on perpetual motion. Zooey Deschanel, born on January 17, 1980 in Los Angeles, California, is an actress, singer, and songwriter known for her quirky, charming style. She rose to recognition in films like Almost Famous, 2000, and Elf, 2003, and her role in 500 Days of Summer, 2009, cemented her as an indie darling with a unique blend of humor and vulnerability. By the time she headlined New Girl, Deschanel was in her late 20s, and audiences adored her offbeat comedic timing. Yet once New Girl ended, Deschanel stepped back somewhat, appearing less frequently. Today at 43, she maintains a reputation for whimsy, but also shows that career evolution need not be dramatic. Maybe she was not as publicly explicit about quitting acting altogether, but her slowed pace and selective appearances reflect a conscious shift in priorities, be they family, music, or personal projects. Her story resonates in an industry that often demands stars remain perpetually on. Here we see a woman who found balance, acting, music, entrepreneurial endeavors, and family life blending together. Her gentle repositioning encourages viewers to understand that stepping back need not be absolute or marked by a grand farewell speech. Sometimes it's about carving a new rhythm that better fits one's inner life. She offers a quietly revolutionary model of success, one that's not dictated by the number of roles booked per year, but by the quality of work and the well-being of the artist. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, born on September 8, 1981, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, exemplifies the archetype of a 90s child star. Known for playing Randy Taylor on Home Improvement, he was a teen heartthrob who seemed poised for an endless career in Hollywood. He voiced young Simba in The Lion King and starred in films like Tom and Huck, 1995. Yet, in the early 2000s, at the tail end of his adolescence, Thomas stepped away to focus on education. This was a conscious break from a path that might have trapped him in typecast roles or confined him to the nostalgic memory of audiences who still saw him as the kid from a family sitcom. His narrative sheds light on the intense pressures facing young actors at that time. Rather than burn out or struggle publicly with the transition to adult roles, as so many before him have, Thomas sought a quieter existence, returning occasionally but never chasing that old level of stardom. Today, in his early 40s, he's more or less absent from the public sphere, having chosen a life that offers more stability and intellectual fulfillment. His example suggests that for some child stars, freedom can be found not in riding the Hollywood wave indefinitely, but in stepping ashore and walking your own path. Taylor Momsen, born on July 26, 1993 in St. Louis, Missouri, first charmed audiences as Cindy Lou, who in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, 2000, and later as Jenny Humphrey in Gossip Girl, 2007 to 2012. By her teens, Momsen was in the thick of a highly visible career. Yet instead of remaining in acting, she departed to focus on her music with The Pretty Reckless, embracing a hard rock sound that distinguished her dramatically from her early on-screen persona. By her early 30s, Momsen had cemented her place as a serious musician, marking a complete pivot from child star to rock frontwoman. Momsen's departure from acting was driven by creative exploration, shedding one form of expression for another. This is a reminder that many actors are artists first and foremost, drawn to the wellspring of creativity that can manifest in myriad ways. Hollywood stardom can be stifling if you're not passionate about the roles offered. Turning to music allowed Momsen to unleash her artistry on her own terms, finding a loyal audience who appreciated her authenticity. Her story in historical context parallels other stars who left acting to delve into new creative fields, ensuring their legacy wasn't defined by one medium alone. Phoebe Cates, born on July 16, 1963, in New York City, radiated a certain 1980s allure. With films like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, 1982, and Gremlins, 1984, she became part of the cultural fabric of that era's youth. Her beauty and on-screen charisma resonated in an America that was redefining its teen movies, turning them into rites of passage for a generation. Yet by her late 20s, Cates decided to retreat from acting to focus on her personal life and family. Today, at 59 years old, she remains fondly remembered by fans, if only as a distant star who once shone brightly and then gracefully stepped out of the limelight. Cates's departure challenges the myth that all actors hunger endlessly for the next role. Her choice, like that of many before and after her, reflects a desire to live outside the public gaze. Historically, many stars of earlier decades retreated from Hollywood to find personal happiness, away from the studio system's demands. Cates's withdrawal belongs to a lineage of performers who valued their privacy over prolonged public adulation, quietly reminding us that stardom can be traded for something more fulfilling, like family life, without regret. Phyllis Smith, born on August 15, 1949, in LeMay, Missouri, rose to recognition relatively late in life, earning widespread acclaim for her role as Phyllis Vance on The Office. Joining the show in her mid-50s, she brought an authentic warmth and comedic subtlety that made her character beloved among fans. After the show's success, she lent her voice to Pixar's Inside Out, 2015, as the character Sadness, winning new audiences with her endearing performance. Despite this well-deserved recognition, Smith eventually stepped back from acting, though not with grand announcements. Now 74, she has chosen to spend her days more quietly. Smith's journey is noteworthy in that she began acting success later in life than many Hollywood stars. This late bloom shows that retirement or stepping back isn't always a sign of burnout, but sometimes a natural progression after a fulfilling chapter. It speaks to a grace in how one can enter and exit the industry. She leaves a legacy of understated but memorable contributions, proving that not all impactful artists need to span decades of constant output. Some arrive, charm audiences, and then depart on their own terms, with a legacy that resonates precisely because it's limited, precious, and lovingly remembered. Gene Hackman, born on January 30th, 1930, in San Bernardino, California, is a titan of classic and modern cinema. With roles in Bonnie and Clyde, 1967, The French Connection, 1971, and The Conversation, 1974, Hackman shaped an era of gritty, intelligent filmmaking. An Academy Award winner who set the standard for nuanced acting, he retired from acting after Welcome to Mooseport, 2004. At the time, he simply felt content with his career and wanted to explore other interests, including writing. Now 93 years old, he enjoys his retirement as a novelist, letting his cinematic legacy speak for itself. Hackman's departure encapsulates a certain old-school Hollywood elegance. He came from a generation of actors who saw their craft as a job, a craft they honed meticulously, and one they could leave behind when the time felt right. Unlike the frenzy of modern celebrity culture, Hackman exited gracefully, prompting no public meltdown or dramatic last stand. He exemplifies the idea that an artist might simply say, "I've done enough," and move on to quieter creative pursuits. Historically, he echoes earlier studio-era stars, who also chose to vanish from screens to savor their later years, confirming that retirement can be a gentle, self-determined act rather than a forced fade into irrelevance. Dave Chappelle, born on August 24, 1973, in Washington, D.C., revolutionized comedy with Chappelle's Show, which debuted in 2003. In his early 30s at that time, he became a cultural icon, fearlessly tackling issues of race, politics, and social norms. Then, in a stunning turn, at the height of his fame, and just when massive contracts were on the table, Chappelle walked away in 2005. He traveled to Africa, retreated from public life, and left audiences, and the industry baffled. Later, he explained he needed time for personal reflection and was uncomfortable with the show's direction and the pressures surrounding it. Chappelle's story is one of artistic integrity and personal well-being over financial gain. Historically, we've seen comedians and performers succumb to personal demons under industry pressure. But Chappelle chose a different route. He returned years later with renewed energy, continuing to shape conversations with his stand-up specials. His departure and eventual comeback highlight the importance of mental health, authenticity, and personal agency in an industry that often values profit over the artist's soul. Chappelle's decision to leave at the top is reminiscent of other cultural figures who refused to let the marketplace dictate their worth, forging their own narrative arcs. Frankie Muniz, born on December 5, 1985 in Woodridge, New Jersey, burst onto the scene as Malcolm in Malcolm in the Middle, 2000, at just 14. His witty and intelligent portrayal of a gifted child navigating a chaotic household earned critical acclaim and audience love. He dabbled in films like Agent Cody Banks before gradually stepping away to focus on other passions like race car driving. Now 37, Muniz is remembered fondly for his iconic childhood role, but he's equally celebrated for having the courage to seek out a life beyond Hollywood's spotlight. Muniz's departure could be seen through the lens of balancing personal identity and professional recognition. Young actors are often defined by their roles. By moving into racing and other interests, Muniz reminded everyone that a performer's career need not dictate their entire identity. Historically, stars have left acting to pursue sports, academia, entrepreneurship, or simply a quieter life. Muniz's pivot signals that pursuing a non-traditional path after fame is not only possible, but can lead to a more holistic and fulfilling existence. Clara Bow, born on July 29, 1905 in Brooklyn, New York, was the quintessential it girl of the silent film era. In her early 20s, she starred in classics like Wings, 1927, and It, 1927, capturing the rebellious spirit of the Roaring Twenties. Yet with the advent of talkies, the pressures of early Hollywood sound technology, personal struggles, and intense public scrutiny led her to retire in the early 1930s. She craved a quieter existence away from gossip columns and the relentless churn of the studio system. When she passed away on September the 27th, 1965 at 60, she left behind a legacy as a pioneering screen icon who helped shape the language of early cinema. Bow's story predates many of the others we've discussed, but it sets an early precedent. Even at Hollywood's dawn, stars grappled with the burden of image and expectation. Her retirement showed that mental well-being, privacy, and personal peace sometimes surpass the allure of staying in the public eye. Bow's struggles also highlight how new technological shifts, silent to sound film, and changing audience tastes can jolt even the brightest stars, leaving them yearning for life beyond the studio gates. Glenne Headly, born on March 13, 1955 in New London, Connecticut, was a versatile actress remembered for films like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, 1988, and Mr. Holland's opus, Knittin' Knit-a-Fem. She worked steadily, providing nuanced performances that added depth to every project she touched. While not a household name on the scale of some, Headly was an actress's actress, respected by peers and critics. She continued to contribute until her untimely death on June 8, 2017, at 62, due to complications from a pulmonary embolism. While her story isn't one of voluntary retirement, her life's trajectory reminds us of how suddenly careers can end and how deeply missed a beloved performer can be. There's a different lesson here. Not all departures are planned, and not all endings are chosen. Her legacy stands as a testament to the quiet power of consistently strong performances, whether in front of massive audiences or in more intimate, character-driven films. Jeffrey Hunter, born on November 25, 1926 in New Orleans, Louisiana, gained fame for roles like Jesus Christ in King of Kings, 1961, and Captain Christopher Pike in the original Star Trek pilot. Despite a promising career in the 1950s and 1960s, he struggled to find roles that matched his talent and depth. This struggle underscores a common theme. Hollywood can be capricious, often failing to harness an actor's full potential. Tragically, Hunter died on May 27, 1969, at just 42, after a cerebral hemorrhage caused by a fall. His story, while not one of chosen retirement, is a reminder that not all actors who fade from the spotlight do so voluntarily. Sometimes it's a combination of industry politics, personal misfortune, and fate. Hunter's brief but impactful presence still resonates among classic film fans, illustrating that legacy can persist even when a career is cut short. Sean Connery, born on August 25, 1930 in Edinburgh, Scotland, became synonymous with the suave sophistication of James Bond. Starting with Dr. No, 1962, he defined an era and arguably established the template for a global film franchise that endures to this day. Beyond Bond, Connery's work in films like The Untouchables, 1987, garnered him an Academy Award, and he embodied a kind of old-world star power that audiences adored. While he briefly stepped away in the early 2000s, Connery officially retired from acting and lived his final years out of the spotlight. He passed away on October 31, 2020, at 90, due to pneumonia and heart failure, leaving behind a legacy as one of cinema's greatest icons. Connery's partial departures and eventual full retirement echo the pattern of many great stars of his generation, who, after rewriting Hollywood's cultural script, decided to spend their twilight years away from prying eyes. His career arc represents the full life cycle of a Hollywood legend: meteoric rise, sustained stardom, selective later roles, and then a dignified retreat into private life. As we near the conclusion of our deep dive, let's step back and consider what we've learned. These actors, Jack Gleeson, Michelle Trachtenberg, Eva Mendez, Daniel Day-Lewis, Chris Tucker, Bruce Willis, Zooey Deschanel, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Taylor Momsen, Phoebe Cates, Phyllis Smith, Gene Hackman, Dave Chappelle, Frankie Muniz, Clara Bow, Glenne Headly, Jeffrey Hunter, and Sean Connery each have unique stories. Some left at their peak, others drifted away quietly. Some retired out of exhaustion, others due to shifts in personal values, industry changes, or life's unpredictable tragedies. Some transformed their creative energies into new pursuits. None of them lost the qualities that made them compelling artists. Instead, they embraced their own humanity, flaws, desires, fears, and dreams, and allowed it to guide them beyond the confines of Hollywood's relentless spotlight. This is a reminder that while we, as viewers, see these stars as icons, they are complex individuals with inner worlds that can't be fully understood through their on-screen personas. Their decisions to leave or reconfigure their relationships with fame, remind us that Hollywood is not just a dream factory, but also a place of immense pressure, personal sacrifice, and constant reinvention. By sharing these stories and viewing them through multiple lenses, historical, cultural, psychological, we appreciate that the entertainment industry is shaped not only by talent and opportunity, but by profound personal choices. Which departure surprised you the most? Was it Dave Chappelle's bold walkout at the height of his show's success, or Daniel Day-Lewis's calm and measured withdrawal after decades of method brilliance? Were you struck by Jonathan Taylor Thomas stepping off the fame train to prioritize education? Or Taylor Momsen pivoting to rock music to find a creative voice unrestricted by Hollywood expectations? Each narrative encourages us to question the nature of success, the meaning of identity, and the interplay between artistic fulfillment and personal well-being. As we continue to watch films, binge series, and celebrate the return of old favorites, perhaps we can remember these stories. They serve as gentle cautions, encouraging empathy for the human beings behind the characters we love. They also challenge us to consider what making it in Hollywood truly means. Is it defined by relentless longevity, or is it sometimes just as noble, meaningful, and courageous to step away? If you found value in this exploration, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll continue to unpack the hidden dimensions of the entertainment world, diving into the backstories, cultural trends, and historical shifts that have shaped our screens and shaped our understanding of what it means to be a star. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. Which of these stories speaks to you personally? Are there other actors you're curious about or other trends you'd like us to analyze?